Alright, hey everybody. So, I'm just doing a quick guide, well, it's not going to be quick, it's going to be long in fact, on how to compile Omni ROM for my Google Nexus 7. Now just a couple quick notes. I have never compiled Omni ROM before, so this may be a learning experience. You may see a little bit of roughness with this. Just chill out. It'll all be good. Second note is the Nexus 7, anyone who's worked with the Nexus 7 knows that there's two variants. There's the 2013 edition, that's codenamed Flow, and the original, which is codenamed Grouper. Mine is the original, codenamed Grouper. That is the one we're going to be working with. There's going to be a couple of guides and stuff that I have sort of cobbled this together from in the description. One of them is based off of Flow, or is a guide for Flow for SignagMod. Just be aware that basically I did a search or replace with my eyes on Flow for Grouper. Anytime they refer to that, I just swapped them out. This is a guide for Omni ROM, but because there is a little bit more documentation out there for SignagMod, I leaned on that a little bit. So I was actually just doing this, and I thought I might as well record it and throw it up on YouTube. So I'm a little bit ahead of the game already. Where is my guide that I'm looking at? So I'm gonna assume a couple of things. One, that you have a Nexus 7, or that you are just interested in learning how Omni ROM works. That your device is already has a Clockwork Mod or Team Win Recovery. I guess it would probably have to be Team Win Recovery project bootloader on your device. I think Omni ROM works with TWRP, if you've ever seen that. I don't know that it yet works with Clockwork Mod. I'm just getting into it. So anyways, I'm going to assume that you've done that. You've got your tablet rooted. You're ready to go. Another note about the guide, the one guide that I'm linking to on the SignagMod wiki. There's one script that you run that is not appropriate for our version of the Nexus 7, or the Nexus 7 that I've got. There's a little script that pulls out the binary blobs from the device and throws them into your build environment. I'm not actually going to be using that. I'm going to be pulling them down directly from Google, because the script doesn't work with the version of the Nexus 7 that I have. So, alright, so we've got an unlocked bootloader, hopefully a good recovery on it. One thing that I will, one thing I will let you guys in on is there is actually, if you're running, so this is a VM that I'm SSH'd into. It is an Ubuntu machine, and it's 64-bit, and there is, it's hard to type and talk at the same time. So you can install tools, fastboot, and ADB with apt-get. Oh, forgot the install. That's what happens when you type commands and talk at the same time. So I already have them installed, so it's going to say you used already the latest version. So it's kind of, they made it better to download the Android SDK, but I find that a lot better than downloading the whole thing, finding it, putting in your path, all that stuff. So one thing, I'm using an Ubuntu variant of 13.10. One thing that you'll want to check when dealing with Android versions of 4.2 and later, I only just found this out, so I'm trying to let people know that you want to make sure that you're running 1.0.31 or later. In 4.2, Google decided that, hey, people are leaving USB debugging on all the time. It's probably not a good idea to just have promiscuous ADB sessions happening every time you plug in your device to a computer. So you now have to authorize it on your device when you do some ADB, fancy ADB mind melding. Make sure that you're running this version or later, otherwise you're just going to get a random device offline message, like I don't know what to do if you're running anything later than that. And there's a lot of like pre-built tools and stuff like that for Android and rooting and stuff like that right now that is running older versions of stuff, so just keep that in mind. So there's a whole bunch of packages that we need to install. Sudo apt-get install. Also, this is a 64-bit 64-bit system, so there's a couple other tools that we have to install. Oh, I hate sudo apt-get install those ones as well. So I've already installed all of these because I didn't want you guys to have to wait for 1,000 years to be watching me do that. All that information is in the CyanogenMod wiki article that I'm linking to. Now you'll notice in here we're using OpenJDK and JRE. Honestly, a lot of some people say, oh, you have to use the Sun binaries, and it'll whine at you saying you're not using the blessed Oracle bits. I don't care. So feel free to install the Oracle-based Java if you want. I'll let you do your own research if you're interested in doing that. Excuse me. So we've got our packages installed. Now we're going to, you see I've got a couple of folders here. This is a basic home folder. So bin is where our repo command is going to live. You can just curl that down with curl. Make sure that you might want to research this one on the net to make sure that that is the actual correct URL that you're supposed to be getting repo from. Repo does have the ability to do, like, I think it's repo space self update or something like that, or self dash update. I don't know. I have seen that URL change, and using the wrong version of repo is kind of bad news. So I've already got it downloaded. Let's download it again. Why the hell not? So, if we do an ls in that file, we see that there's a file named repo. Now, I've already done this, so it is currently executable, but you do need to chmod it to be executable because it is an actual application, or it is a script, or whatever you want to call it. You also want to make sure that you have exported /home/bin to your path, and you could toss that into, I threw that up there pretty quickly. So if you hit enter now, it will export it to your current session. You can also toss that at the end of your dot bash rc file. Oh, sorry, I have to be in my home folder. So if we go to the end of my .bash rc file, we see export path, blah blah blah. Once you log out, log in. If we echo our path variable, sorry, case sensitive, we see that /home/elitist/bin is in our path. Now, if you're not super familiar with path variable or the path variable, basically what that means is that when we call the command repo, that is one of the locations that it looks for it in. So that we can be anywhere in our directory structure, call run repo, and it will look for it there and run it. Just do it because it's good. That's what I'm going to say. So now I've also got a folder in my home folder called Android, and a lot of people, for like consistency's sake, make a folder called, you know, home folder /Android/system. Because I'm using Omni ROM on here, I want to differentiate just in case I throw a signage mod on here. I'm just going to call it a different thing. So, and that's not going to screw up anything. You'll be fine. So, now I actually already have. Once again, I already have the repo set up, and it's actually syncing right now in another window. But if you do, let me see if I can find it. So when you initialize your repo, because it's not CyanogenMod, you're going to be referring to Omni ROM on GitHub, and the branch is not cm-10.2 as it is with CyanogenMod. It's Android-4.3. And you know what? I actually respect that, because CyanogenMod's crazy naming standard with like 10.2 equals 4.3 and 10.1 equals 4.2 is stupid. And 11 is 4.4. Like, I don't get it. So I'm actually okay with that. And then once you've initialized the repo, it's going to spin for a few minutes, and then you're going to run repo sync. And that's the big one that's going to take like 1,000 hours to do. That's why I've got it going in another window, or another session, I should say. So, you know, once you've done repo sync, friggin' go to bed, or go out and see the sunshine, or, you know, that big fiery globe in the sky. So, another handy thing to do is we're gonna do some C caching, which basically reduces your when you compile stuff, like you'll compile it the first time, and then from then on you won't have to compile near as much stuff. Really speeds things up for subsequent builds. So, and we're just going to export that to our current session so that all right. So we're also going to set we're also going to set, now we can't run this command until our sync is done, but we'll run it after the sync is done. And basically what that does is gives you a C cache of 25 gigs. Make sure that when you build your VM or the box that you are running it on, that you set that appropriately. My VM I think has 100 gigs, should be plenty. So if you're not going to do at least 10 or so gigs, probably not even worth using C cache. So yeah. So I will pause the recording and we will return once our repo is synced. Now, and just one more note about repo sync. So if you've never synced a repo before, it takes a hell of a long time to pull it down. It's like on a good connection, it can be like an hour or two. On like a really terrible connection, it's probably going to take like a day. So, so yeah, that's why I say go out and do something else. And what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, so, but subsequent repo sync, so like basically when you're synchronizing your repo, you're copying down what the Omni ROM project has put onto GitHub. And every time you, the reason we use Git instead of just downloading the files is so that when you sync it, the next time, it doesn't take like a day to sync it. It takes, a couple minutes. Based on, it's more the longer you don't sync it. So it's good to sync your repo every couple of days just to make sure you've got the latest fixes and changes. So yeah, see you on the other side of this edit. All right, so when we left off, our repo was syncing. Now we're just about ready to get to compiling. And do a few things before. Actually, we're going to do a few things before that. So let's take a look. So I said that we wanted to set our C cache to about 25 gigs, but we had to wait until our repo was done syncing. Now this, remember, using C cache totally optional. I like to do it just because it will, if I need to compile again, it's going to speed things up a little bit. And you'll remember that I said subsequent repo syncs will be quite a bit quicker. So let's just go through one quickly here. Now we're seeing the percentages go up much quicker. 61 of 377 items, rather than I need to get 50,000 items. So much quicker. So next we're gonna see, usually at this point on CyanogenMod we would be looking at pulling down our pre-built apps. So once this is done syncing, we're going to take a look. Actually, I guess I could go into another window and while that's syncing, just at least poke around a little bit. So let's see what we've got in this folder. So normally, let's see what we've got in here. Omni. So normally that is a CM folder for CyanogenMod. So it looks like, let's see what's in utilities. Utils. Pre-built. Nothing super interesting. What did I do pre-built, pre-built, UTC. Yeah, nothing super interesting in there. So, looks like Omni has their own boot animation, which I'm excited to see that, actually. I haven't even seen that. Let's take a look at that. That's in config. Branding, gross CDMA. Okay, well, that was a letdown. Anyways, it doesn't seem so. Usually, there's a few pre-built apps that are that we would run a script to get in here. It doesn't look like there's quite as much here on Omni ROM, but that's okay because I mean most of those Signage and Mod pre-built apps are available in the Play Store now. So since a lot of those authors have sort of abstracted them away from Signage and Mod, so we're not super concerned with that. So let's check our repo sync over here. Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Watching a text progress bar. So just preparing for the next step. So what we're going to do next is we're going to set up our environment. And I'm going to make sure that repo is up to date. Repo self-update, all one word. So repo space self-update, all one word to check. To make sure the repo is up to date. And let me just take a look. History. Alright, so, sorry I'm back. I had to grab I'm going to provide a link in the description. There is, so in one of the guides that I'm looking at, there's a section where you extract the proprietary blobs from your Nexus 7. And those are basically the drivers and the DRM and all that crap that are not open source for sometimes obvious reasons. Sometimes it's just because NVIDIA is a douchey company and they maintain a proprietary advantage by keeping their stuff closed source. So they cannot be redistributed by Omni ROM or Signage Mod or the Android project themselves. So you sort of have to be the end user and download them yourself, or extract them from your device themselves. So there's, in the Android source tree, there's a script that you use. It's like extract-files.sh. Unfortunately, if you have upgraded your Nexus 7 grouper to 4.3, that script does not work. If you are using the Flow version of the Nexus 7, apparently that script does work. So what I need to do is I need to download those delicious bits myself. So we are going to use our trusty friend wget to download these. If you're wondering why I'm right-clicking, the terminal application that I use uses Shift Insert as the keyboard shortcut for pasting, and unfortunately I do not know where the insert key is on this keyboard. It's sort of a weird gaming keyboard, so I'm having to do it MS command prompt style. So I've got 4. Oops. So wget 5. wget. Now you're probably wondering, why are you cluttering up your delicious source tree with all this crap? Well, the problem is that the way they've got the stuff packaged up, it's sort of expecting you to be at the root of your source tree. And if you do not put it here, you have to like manually move the files later, and I'm just happy to let them unpack here. So let's see if I know XVF fancy, if I can do some fancy Jedi mind tricks to get this to extract all of them. Not found in archive. Oh, sorry. X. Does it matter how I do that? Let's try Asus. I thought that was going to work, but so tar X VF. I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to be like, oh, well, obviously you didn't do blah blah blah. Broadcom. XVF. This is all very fascinating, you know. And NVIDIA. So some of these are drivers, some of them, like one's the orientation sensor, one's the touch panel, which kind of sounds important. NFC, DRM. I wonder what that one does. I'll have to poke around at it later. Tar XVF. Now rm star.tgz. Yay! Oh, my magic wildcards worked. Okay. So Asus. Now these, the way they package these up is just about the most evil thing you'll ever see. The license for the software will now be displayed. You must agree to the license before using this software. They have shrink wrapped this in a friggin' thing, and then they make you type this "I accept" in case sensitive, by the way, thingamjaggers. So anyways, we see that it's been unpacked to our vendor, Asus, blah blah blah. Extract. I have to do that with each one of these things. It's pretty exciting. I'm just going to go use my caps lock, which is cruise control for cool. Yeah, tell your friends. So that was Broadcom, maybe? What was that? Broadcom, okay. And you know what? I'm just gonna copy pasta. Invensense. Obviously, that is a name you trust, right? Because you totally heard of them before today. And extract NVIDIA. Space is going to get you through that much quicker. I'm sure there's like a faster way. No, don't do it again. I just did it. NXP. And that the other thing too is like it's the same. It appears to be the same license agreement for all of them. So like, it's not even like a license agreement that you're doing with them. It's one that you're doing with Google, which doesn't make any sense. I don't know. No reverse engineering, I saw in there. You better not, because you're a pirate. Alright, so extract, and just do a star. Perfect, clean that up nicely. So I should keep those around just in case, actually. So should see that we have a whole bunch of, we should have 8 because we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I miss one? Asus, Broadcom, Elan, Invensense, whoever they are, NVIDIA, NXP, Nerd. I should have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, there's 8 because there's 7 plus Omni, so we're magic. All right, so that was total BS and ridiculous. Let's set up our build environment. And now that we've gotten that boring stuff out of the way, and yeah, and make sure you're at the root of your source tree. So now we're going to breakfast, and then the code name of the device that you're doing. If you're doing the newer Nexus 7, it'd be Flow. If you're doing Grouper, or if you're doing the original Nexus 7, you'd be doing Grouper, which is what I'm doing. And yeah, whatever the code, I think like the S4 is like i9100 because I guess Samsung has terrible code names. So, and I believe breakfast doesn't take very long. Yeah, that's what I thought. No. File not found. Interesting. Alright. So, looks like pretty standard stuff. Release. Blah, blah, blah. Our C cache is happening. Let's just make sure. Echo use _C cache. Or sorry, wow, special. You have to make it there. So equals 1, which means true. I don't actually know what the command C root does. I'm familiar with change root. No idea. Anyways, the guide tells me to run it. Obviously, it does something. So we've done breakfast. Now, somehow my control or my caps lock key got smacked. So we've done breakfast. Now we're going to do brunch with grouper. Now this command hopefully is going to compile Omni. We're going to see what happens. I don't know what that omni.dependencies is. Probably not important, right? I mean, it's continuing. So now, something to keep in mind as this is happening. See there, it says you're attempting to. It's because I'm using OpenJDK. Oh my God, I'm obviously, you know, doing terrible things. So that's fine. So this is hopefully going to compile our system together. After this, one of two things is going to happen. It's going to spew a whole bunch of garbage on your screen, at the end of which is going to be an error message, or it's going to spew a whole bunch of garbage on your machine. And it's going to say, and I've pooped out a .zip file for you to install on your device, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. Hopefully, you want the second one, because that means it's worked. Do give this one some time. It takes a while. I have a pretty lousy virtual machine, and I think the last compile I did on it took like, I'd probably say about 12 hours or so. Any extra like CPU and, more importantly, memory that you can throw at this machine will help immensely. So just keep that in mind. That the quicker, the more resources you throw it at, the better. So let's take a look. It looks like we've already got an error. Cannot stat bootable. CD bootable. Recovery. What does it say? Cannot stat. So usually cannot stat means GUI devices. Resources is there. That's weird. Resources. Maybe. So what's it trying to do? Copy. Blah blah blah. access to res. Right. Shut up. I know you want me to be recursive. Okay, let's try that again. Branch grouper. All right, so hopefully it is not going to do an error message like it did before, and this is going to be magic. Hopefully that was just a bug. I'm sure it was just a bug. Fonts, super important. Anyways, I'm going to pause the recording here for now, and hopefully we will see you on the other side. If not, I'll fire up the recording again, and we'll work through any bugs we see. Anyways, hope you folks have a good one. See you in a little bit. Alright, so it looks like we had a successful compile. This is what it looks like. Package complete. Tells you where it is. Blah, blah, blah. .zip tells you a little bit of information about the time it took. Yeah, so I'm going to flash this to my device, and we'll see what happens. Cross your fingers. If there's no more videos after this, it means it worked great. So, anyways, thanks for watching the video, and please leave any comments. Hopefully I can respond to a couple of them. And hope you enjoyed the adventure. Thanks.